This is the story of the 3 bears. Once upon a time there were 3 bears, a great big papa bear, a middle-sized mama bear, and a wee little baby bear. They lived in a little house in the forest, and they had 3 chairs, a great big chair for the papa bear, a middle-sized chair for the mama bear, and a wee little chair for the baby bear. And upstairs there were 3 beds, a great big bed for the papa bear, a middle-sized bed for the mama bear, and a wee little bed for the baby bear. One morning the mama bear made some porridge for breakfast. She filled a great big bowl for the papa bear, a middle-sized bowl for the mama bear, and a wee little bowl for the baby bear. But the porridge was too hot to eat, so the 3 bears went out for a walk in the forest. That same morning, a little girl called Goldilocks was walking through the woods. She came to the 3 bears' house, and she knocked on the door. But nobody called, "Come in," so she opened the door and went in. Goldilocks saw the 3 chairs. She sat in the great big chair. It was too hard. The middle-sized chair was too soft. The baby chair was just right, but it broke when she sat on it. Now Goldilocks spied the porridge. "I am hungry," she said. So she tasted the porridge. The porridge in the big bowl was too hot. The porridge in the middle-sized bowl was too cold. The porridge in the wee little bowl was just right, so she ate it all up. Then Goldilocks went upstairs and tried the beds. The great big bed was too hard. The middle-sized bed was too soft. But the wee little bed was oh so nice. So Goldilocks lay down and went to sleep. Then home through the forest and back to their house came the 3 bears. The great big bear, the middle-sized bear, and the wee little baby bear. The moment they stepped into the house, they saw that someone had been there. "Humph," said the papa bear in his great big voice. "Someone has been sitting in my chair." "Land sakes," said the mama bear in her middle-sized voice. "Someone has been sitting in my chair." "Oh, dear," cried the baby bear in his wee little voice. "Someone has been sitting in my chair and has broken it all to bits." Then they all looked at the table. "Humph," said the papa bear in his great big voice. "Someone has been tasting my porridge." "And someone has been tasting my porridge," said the mama bear. "Someone has eaten my porridge all up," said the baby bear sadly. Then up the stairs went the 3 bears, with a thump, 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 and a trot, 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 and a skippity, skippity, skip. That was the wee little tiny bear. "Humph," said the papa bear in his great big voice. "Someone has been sleeping in my bed." "And someone has been sleeping in my bed," said the mama bear. "Oh, dear," cried the baby bear in his wee little voice. "And someone has been sleeping in my bed, and here she is right now." Goldilocks opened her eyes, and she saw the 3 bears. "Oh," said Goldilocks. She was so surprised that she jumped right out of the window. And she ran all the way home. And she never saw the house in the forest again.
There once was an ugly duckling with feathers all stubby and brown, and the other birds in so many words said, "Get out of town! Get out! Get out! Get out of town!" And he went with a quack and a waddle and a quack in a flurry of eider down. That poor little ugly duckling went wandering far and near, but at every place they said to his face, "Now, get out of here! Get out! Get out! Get out of here!" And he went with a quack and a waddle and a quack and a very unhappy tear.
That ugly duckling grew and grew, and pretty soon he didn't look like a duckling anymore.
All through the winter time he hid himself away, ashamed to show his face, afraid of what others might say. All through the winter in his lonely clump of weed, till a flock of swans spied him there and very soon agreed, "You're a very fine swan indeed."
Yes, a very fine swan indeed.
Swan? Me, a swan? Aw, go on.
You're a swan. Take a look at yourself in the lake, and you'll see.
And I looked, and I saw, and I said, "Why, it's me. I am a swan. Whee! I'm not such an ugly duckling. No feathers all stubby and brown. For in fact these birds in so many words said,
The best in town. The best. The best. The best in town.
Not a quack, not a quack, not a waddle or a quack, but a glide and a whistle and a snowy white back, and a head so noble and high. Say, who's an ugly duckling? Not I. Not I.
This is the story of Hansel and Gretel. On the edge of a small clearing near a great forest, there lived a poor woodcutter and his wife and his two children, Hansel and Gretel. The wife was the children's stepmother, and she was very cruel to them. They had always been very poor, but one time there was a great famine in the country, and the woodcutter could not earn even enough to buy any food for his family. The poor woodcutter worried day and night. Finally, he said to his wife,
"What shall we do? We will surely starve. The food we have left is not enough for the children, let alone for us."
"I have a plan," the stepmother said. "Early in the morning we will take the children into the forest and leave them in the thickest part of it. They will never find their way home again, and we will be rid of them."
"I cannot do that,"
cried the woodcutter. But the cruel woman forced him to agree. Now Hansel and Gretel heard them talking, and Hansel thought of a clever plan. Creeping outside, he filled his pockets with pebbles. The next morning, before the sun was up, the stepmother shouted to the children, "Get up, you lazy bones. We are going into the forest to cut wood. Here is a piece of bread. Don't eat it yet, because you won't get any more." Then they set off for the forest, with Hansel and Gretel lagging in the rear. Gretel carried their bread, and Hansel stopped every few steps to drop a pebble on the ground. Finally, the father called back.
Hansel, hurry up! What's keeping you?
Oh, I'm just looking at my white kitten who's sitting on the roof,
Said Hansel.
She's trying to say goodbye to me.
You fool, cried the stepmother. That's the sunshine glinting on the roof. When they reached the middle of the forest, the father built a good fire. Then the stepmother said, Wait by the fire while we go to chop wood. We will come back to get you. Hansel and Gretel fell asleep. When they woke up, it was night. Hansel comforted Gretel, who was frightened by the dark. And then, when the moon came up, they could see the pebbles that Hansel had dropped, and they followed them all the way home. When they got home, the cruel stepmother planned again to get rid of them, and the next day they all went once more to the forest. This time, Hansel was not able to collect pebbles. He dropped breadcrumbs instead. But when evening came, they could not find the breadcrumbs. The birds had eaten them. All night they walked, and all the next morning. Suddenly they saw before them a little house, all made of gingerbread with windows of spun sugar. They ran toward it eagerly. Hansel ate a piece of the roof, and Gretel ate some of the window. Then they heard a voice saying, Nibble, nibble like a mouse, who is nibbling at my house? The children answered, It's only the wind, and they went on eating. Then the door of the house opened, and an old woman came out leaning on a crutch. The two children were very frightened, but the ugly old woman spoke very sweetly. Do come in, she said. You must be very hungry and tired, for you look as if you've come a long way. Then she led them into her house. There she invited them to sit down to dinner. They were so hungry that they ate everything on the table. When they had finished, the old woman put them to bed in great, comfortable beds. Now, although the old woman seemed so kind, she was really a wicked witch who ate little children. So while Hansel and Gretel were sleeping, she was thinking of the fine meal she would have. The next morning, she awakened Hansel and put him into a cage. No matter how he begged to get out, her heart did not soften. Then she woke up Gretel and put her to work. I'm going to eat you both, she said. But first you can do some of my work. So poor Gretel had to carry water, chop kindling, scrub floors, and sweep the rooms. Gretel did not get very much to eat, but the best kind of food was given to Hansel, for the witch thought he was too thin. Each morning she asked him to stretch out his finger so she could feel how fat he was, for she could not see well. But Hansel stuck out an old bone, so she thought he was not growing any fatter. At last the witch decided to eat him anyway. Gretel had to build the fire and fill the kettle, and she cried as she worked. Then the witch came to Gretel and said, Crawl in the oven, Gretel, and see if it is hot enough. But Gretel replied, I don't know how to do it. How do I climb into the oven? Stupid, cried the witch. The door is big enough. Why, I could get in myself. She bent down and put her head in the oven. Quick as a flash, Gretel pushed her in and slammed the door. Then Gretel let Hansel out of his cage. Hansel, we're free, she cried. The old witch is dead. Filling their pockets with glittering jewels from the witch's hoard, they set off through the woods determined to find their way home. But though Hansel and Gretel walked and walked, they were still lost, and not a thing looked familiar. Just when they had given up hope, they heard a happy cry. There was their father coming toward them.
Hansel! Gretel!
Cried the father, hurrying to them.
I have looked and looked for you.
He took them home, and Hansel and Gretel found that their cruel stepmother had gone away forever. And with the jewels that they brought from the witch's house, they were able to live comfortably and happily ever after.
There once was a boy, and his name was Jack, and his mother said to Jack, said she, now go to the butcher and sell the cow and bring the money to me.
He traded the cow for a bag of beans, and the moment it was done he knew 'twas a foolish thing, a very foolish thing, a foolish thing to do.
Now Now Jack was afraid of the people of the town, and Jack was afraid of his mother. If it wasn't one thing with poor young Jack, it was bound to be another.
His mother was very sad to hear what Jack had done that day. She told her son how wrong it was, and she threw the beans away. In the middle of the night, when the moon was bright, while the warm wind blew and the owl cried, whoo!
The beans began to grow and to grow and to grow, and they grew 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 and they grew.
Then the sun came up and there it was, a mile and a mountain high. Strong and green and wonderful to see, a beanstalk taller than the sky.
This is the story of Little Red Riding Hood by Elizabeth Orton Jones. Once upon a time, there was a little girl who was dearly loved by all, most of all by her grandmother. Wherever she went, she always wore a little red cape with a hood, which her grandmother made for her. So people called her Little Red Riding Hood. One morning, her mother packed a basket and said,
Here are a piece of cake, a pat of butter, and a bottle of grape juice. Take them to your grandmother, Little Red Riding Hood. She is sick in bed, and they will do her good. Keep right on the path. Don't play on the way. Don't talk to strangers. And when you see your grandmother, don't forget to say good day.
Little Red Riding Hood promised, gave goodbye to her mother, and started off along the path through the wood. She had not gone far before she met Hood, said the wolf politely. Where are you going? And the wolf. And where does your grandmother live?
On the other side of the wood,
said Little Red Riding Hood, pointing with her finger.
My grandmother is sick and...
To hear that, said the wolf.
I promised my mother I'd stay on the path,
said Little. A pretty bunch of flowers would surely make your grandmother feel better. Don't you agree, Little Red Riding Hood? And away he went through the trees. In no time at all, Little Red Riding Hood was wandering about in the wood, picking flowers here and there. Meanwhile, the wolf ran straight to Little Red Riding Hood's grandmother's house.
Who is there?
Called Little Red Riding Hood's grandmother from inside.
It's Little Red Riding Hood,
said the wolf in a wee little voice.
Come in, my dear,
called the grandmother. And the wolf went in and ate Little Red Riding Hood's grandmother up. Then he put on her nightgown and cap, climbed into her bed, and pulled the covers up over his nose. Soon, Little Red Riding Hood came skipping along toward her grandmother's house.
Good day, grandmother,
she called. She went in and stepped close to her grandmother's bed.
Oh, grandmother,
she cried, for her grandmother looked very strange.
What big ears you have.
Better to hear you with, my dear, said the wolf, rolling his eyes.
Oh, grandmother, what big eyes you have,
cried Little Red Riding Hood.
The better to see you with, my dear,
said the wolf, snapping his jaws.
Oh, grandmother,
cried Little Red Riding Hood.
What big teeth you have.
The better to eat you with, said the wolf. And he sprang from the bed and ate Little Red Riding Hood up. A passing woodsman stepped into the house to see how Little Red Riding Hood's grandmother was feeling. And when he saw the wolf, he said, Aha! I've found you at last, you wicked old rascal. He lifted his axe and with one blow killed him. Then he cut the wolf open, and out stepped Little Red Riding Hood and her grandmother. They thanked the woodsman for what he had done. Then all three sat down and ate the cake and the butter and drank of the grape juice which Little Red Riding Hood had brought.
The owl and the pussycat went to sea in a beautiful pea green boat. They took some honey and plenty of money wrapped up in a 5-pound note. Pussy said to the owl, "You elegant fowl, how charmingly sweet you sing. Oh, let us be married, too long we have tarried, but what shall we do for a ring?" They sailed away for a year and a day to the land where the bong tree grows. And there in a wood a piggy wig stood with a ring at the end of his nose, his nose, his nose, with a ring at the end of his nose. "Dear pig, are you willing to sell for 1 shilling your ring?" said the piggy. "I will." So they took it away and were married next day by the turkey who lives on the hill. They dined on mince and slices of quince, which they ate with a runcible spoon. And hand in hand on the edge of the sand, they danced by the light of the moon, the moon, the moon. They danced by the light of the moon.
Heidi by Johanna Speer. On top of a mountain in the Swiss Alps, Heidi lived with her grandfather. Their home was a hut overlooking the valley, and behind it stood 3 old fir trees. Heidi loved to hear the wind rushing and roaring in their long, thick branches. Heidi had a happy life. Every day in the summertime she went up the mountain with Peter, the young goat herd. She knew the names of all the flowers, and she was friends with all the goats in Peter's herd. In the wintertime, Heidi stayed inside at home with Grandfather and watched him carve round wooden spoons or hammer together chairs or tables. Sometimes Peter struggled up the snowy mountain path to call for Heidi and took her down to visit his mother and his blind grandmother. One day, Heidi's aunt came to take her to school, so off went Heidi to Frankfurt, far away. Heidi soon made friends in Frankfurt. There was the good old doctor who came to see Heidi's cousin Clara, and who never left without saying a kind word to Heidi. There was Clara's grandmother who taught Heidi to read. And, of course, there was Clara herself, pretty and sweet, but so pale and frail and unable to walk or stand. Heidi told her over and over again about Grandfather and Peter and the merry goats and the great fir trees. "Oh, if only you could go there," Heidi would say sadly. "You'd see. You would grow well and learn to walk there. Oh, if only we were home." Poor Heidi. She was so homesick for her mountains with the green valley spreading below. Here in Frankfurt, even from the golden steeple of the church, which she visited one day, as far as her eyes reached, she could see only the gray stone houses of the city. Many weeks went by, and every day Heidi grew paler and more homesick. The kind old doctor who came to see Clara spoke gravely to Mr. Sesame, Clara's father. "Heidi has grown thin and pale with homesickness. You must send her home at once, or she will be very ill," he said. The very next day, Heidi's bag was packed so she could go back to the mountains she loved. Heidi and Clara cried when they had to leave each other. "But just wait," Heidi said. "You will come to visit us soon, and then you will see how beautiful it is, and you will get well and strong up in the mountains." And then it was not long before Heidi was running up the path she knew so well, up to Grandfather's hut. Before Grandfather had seen her coming, she had thrown her arms around his neck. "Grandfather," she cried, "Grandfather, I'm home and will never leave again." Heidi had to run out to see the goats, to hear the wind in the fir trees. She had to hurry down the mountain path to Peter's grandmother, who wept with joy to find that Heidi could read to her now. And every day, at least 6 times a day, she said to her grandfather, "We must bring Clara up here. Here Clara will get well and strong." Heidi had her way at last. And one day, a little procession wound up the mountain. Clara, well wrapped in shawls and blankets, was being carried up in a chair. Her father, carrying more warm shawls, followed behind. "I'm going to stay with you," Clara told Heidi, her soft blue eyes shining. "I'm going to stay with you and Grandfather and Peter and the goats for 4 whole weeks, and then Father will come back for me." Heidi could do nothing but hop for joy. Every day after that, Grandfather carried Clara up where Peter kept his goats. He put her down on the warm, sweet grass, and then Heidi would pick flowers for her friend or sit beside her to tell her the names of all the different goats. Every day, Clara drank great bowlfuls of sweet goat milk. "This is so good," she sighed, "and I'm so hungry. At home, I never like to eat." "It is the healthy mountain air," smiled Grandfather. By the time Mr. Sesaman came up to call for his little girl, instead of a pale invalid, he found a tall, smiling, rosy-cheeked Clara who came walking toward him on Heidi's arm. Mr. Sesaman ran up and clasped her in his arms. "How is this possible?" he cried. "How is this possible?" And Heidi kept dancing around them both, singing happily, "I knew the mountains would make you well. I knew they would make you well."
Toby the tortoise and Max the hare met one day at a country fair.
"I'll race you, Toby,"
said Max with a smile, knowing that he could win by a mile.
"Sure, Max, I'll race you, but gee, I can't win."
"Oh, sure you can, Toby. Hey, come on, let's begin."
So the crowd gathered round and they all had their money on Maxie the hare, who was quick like a bunny. He leaped and he bounded and quickened his pace, leaving poor Toby behind in the race. When Max the hare had raced for a mile, he was so far ahead that he stopped for a while and suddenly saw a girl rabbit he knew. And he hopped to her and said,
"How do you do? I'm racing Toby Tortoise, and I'm in a hurry. But you're lovely, my dear. You're so white and so furry. I think I'll stop here for a while."
Max danced for his girlfriend and sang her a song and forgot about Toby, who crawled along.
"I'm slow as molasses, not fast as Max Hare, but by gosh and by golly, I'm gonna get there."
Toby kept going with all of his might, and Max the hare was nowhere in sight. The crowd cheered to Toby.
"You're doing just fine. Hurry, hurry, hurry. You're almost at the finish line."
"Don't tell me I'm winning. My gosh, where is Max? Gosh, oh gee, here he comes. I'd better make tracks."
So Toby crawled faster. To his great surprise, he won the long race and was given a prize.
"I didn't think I could do it. Didn't think I'd get there."
"I lost the race. I'm through with women.